We will bring you the front pages now at this time of the morning. 8:33 is the time. Telegraph first of all.
It's drawing attention to allies of Suella Braverman, fearing she's the victim of a smear campaign amid this weekend's speeding fine row.
Times reports some patients being encouraged to use the NHS app to book private health care in an attempt to cut waiting lists.
The Mail reveals that drug driving's become more prevalent than drink driving, according to a shock new police report.
And finally, the Star, Big Britain, as temperatures across the country could reach 24 degrees.
Can we just discuss that picture really quickly?
Yeah.
Why do they wheel out?
Me and my brother.
Okay.
What?
I'll stop what I was going to say then.
What are you going to say?
I don't know, just why do the shirts all come off when the bods, you know, they're balancing their pints on their guts, and one's pasty white,
That's
and the
not
other
a real
one's
picture.
lobster bread. It could be. I mean, that probably will be the scene in Bournemouth at 3 p.m.
Well, because British men don't know how to handle the heat, do they? I mean, it's
Or to dress in the heat.
Exactly. It's like, you know, they wear sort of like, you know, weird things, and socks and
It
sandals.
started with my son, 7 years old, was on a play date the other day, got hot, just took his shirt off. I was like, what are you doing? Put your T-shirt back on.
Well, why
you
would
lout.
You thought that was a loutish thing to do?
Yeah.
You see, I would have taken my shirt off in the past, but my moobs now prevent me from doing so.
Oh, come on, give us a flash. Give us a demonstration.
You'd fit right in.
I would get whiplash if I
Oh,
started spinning on.
God.
Well, it's
Stop
true.
it.
It's when you can balance them on your knees, you know you're in trouble, love.
Oh, I know.
Right, Fraser, let's raise the tone. Students are defending free speech at Oxford University. About time too. This is the front of the Telegraph.
Yeah, so this is the story of Kathleen Stock. People may know her. She's a gender-critical feminist and philosopher. She was hounded out of her own university, Sussex University, for her kind of what are seen as controversial comments about the trans issue. She doesn't believe that trans women are women and that people can actually change sex. And it's interesting because she's incredibly thoughtful, incredibly considered, and yet she has become this unbelievable hate figure among students. You know, the Oxford Union has a proud 200-year history of defending free speech. They've invited Holocaust deniers like David Irving. They've had Nick Griffin from the BNP was invited. All the O.J. Simpson, even just after he finished his trial, was invited. So in the past, and not in the fairly recent past, there was an understanding that students could handle difficult ideas, controversial people, and there were protests, sure, but the protests against Kathleen Stock had taken up an entirely new level. Essentially, the Students' Union, which is separate from the Oxford Union Debating Society, tried to ban the Oxford Union from the Freshers' Fair, which would have basically cut off its funding, you know, because the Freshers' Fair is where you meet new students, get new subs, get new recruits. So essentially, just because they've invited a feminist to speak, there could have been the chance to destroy this entire, traditional debating society. Luckily, students are fighting back. The university is fighting back, saying, no, actually, we believe in free speech. So it's good to see people standing up to this.
Yeah.
Now, talking about standing up.
That is a very good link.
It's a very, very good link because I'm trying to work this out. Okay, Dawn Neeson-Scott's story in the Times is front page in the Times. Where is the Times, Isabel?
Oh, you've probably got it in your messy
I
pile
haven't
over
got
there.
it pile. No.
I've got one here. You can share mine if you like.
I can actually see it.
Can you? Right.
Allow me.
So what is it? German men take a stand for sitting to spend a penny.
Right, okay. Well, 7 years ago, two writers published, it was meant to be a bit of fun, a whimsical guide to Germany's sometimes perplexing social conventions, and they called it German Men Sit Down to Pee. Okay, it was whimsical, I think it's right. But in any case, now there has been an official survey done, an international survey, about how men go to the toilet. And it is actually factual that German men are more likely to sit down whilst having a wee. 62% of German men sit down. I'm lowering the tone here, aren't I? But, you know, you can lie me.
I think that's fascinating.
It is fascinating. So 62% of German, that's the highest nationality that sit down to pee, followed by 50% of Swedes, 34% of Italians. And where do you think the Brits come in next?
Oh, tiny proportion, I reckon. 5%?
No, actually 23%.
Oh, right.
So
one
quite high.
1 in 5 people.
Yeah.
Fraser, are you one of
Oh, no,
one
don't
in
need
5?
to go there.
We're going to discuss this.
It's a matter of where you are, isn't
Well,
it?
look,
If
I would
it's a
say
disgusting
never
pub
in my
toilet,
life have
then
I
no.
thought about sitting down to have a pee.
Really?
I've never thought, if I was only doing a pee, why would I sit
How do
down?
you know? If you're
You're meant to be the one firing the
you know, you know.
Are there not instances when you wish you were sitting?
I take your point that a lot of women would say, who's dribbled round here?
Oh, no. People are having their porridge right now.
It's also people are peeing on the toilet floor. My father was a carpet fitter, right? And I always remember as a young kid, he used to say to us, never get carpet in your loo. And I never thought what he's talking about, but I realised what he's talking about now.
Yeah.
Because of the smell and the stink.
It's
so
horrible.
basically, women would complain, why can't men hit the target? So if you sit down, you stand a better chance of hitting the target.
Yes.
I think 100% chance, I would hope.
And otherwise, I'll be slightly worried. And the thing is, on a serious note, it is actually meant to be healthier for men to sit down whilst having
why is that?
a wee, because it helps the bladder empty itself.
How fascinating.
Yeah,
See, I
absolutely.
like this
Which
kind of-
obviously, if you've got prostate
Well,
cancer
now
or
you
something
like it.
that.
2 seconds ago, you didn't like
Yeah,
it.
you get graphic, but I'm interested that there's a medical benefit to
There is,
sitting
yeah, so
down,
a study
as
by a
well as
Dutch-
it being cleaner. So I think I'm going to be advocating for this in my house.
To sit down.
Sounds
And you
very
know what?
civilised.
I mean,
Sorry,
like
yeah.
this one, Eamonn, one of the best footballers in the world, actually sits down because he says it's more comfortable. Which footballer do you think that is?
No idea.
Lionel Messi.
Messi's not Messi.
It's not Messi. Ooh,
He's
Very
not Messi.
you're good at this broadcasting, Marky, aren't you?
So he's not Messi.
No, he's not Messi.
They even have a word for it, with it being German, because in German you can make these kind of compound words.
Sprinklerlatter.
It's a Sitzpinkler, a sitting
Put your
peer.
Sitzblinker away.
Yeah, and
Oh gosh.
you can create words like you can express like whole sentences out of words. I mean, everyone knows Schadenfreude, the joy at people's pain, but they've got amazing words like Kummerspeck, which literally means grief bacon, but it's the eating that you do when you feel sad.
Oh, wonderful.
Things like that.
What?
Kummerspeck.
I do that.
And there's another one called Backpfeifengesicht, which is a face in need of a punch, which is a wonderful insult.
Fraser, that's so good. I need you to write all of this.
Yes, so can you write them down phonetically,
Because
please?
Schadenfreude is one of my favourite
Yeah.
phrases.
So
I enjoyed
2/3
that.
of German men sit down to pee.
Yes.
What do we say? 1/5 of British men sit
Yeah,
down
23%
to
of Brits.
pee. And Isabel thinks that this should be the new
I think this
thing.
is the new mandatory way of going
because
to
it's
the loo.
because it's more
Well, it's
hygienic.
better for your health as well.
Yes.
It's a win-win.
But where do you stand on missing the target?
I have zero tolerance. And
Right,
don't
so-
leave the seat down. There's nothing
So
more
I never
annoying.
get that seat down, but I swear to God, and I'm not being funny here. What is the difference if the seat is up or down?
Well,
I
because if you
genuinely-
miss, then you don't miss onto the seat, one presumes.
So you pee with the seat up.
Yeah, and then you put it back down.
Right, I never knew, I always knew there was a problem, but didn't know what the problem was. Right. okay.
Dawn, let's turn to the Mail. This is the story about a theatre which is saying only black people are allowed to attend.
You can imagine that headline the other way round. Only white people are allowed to attend.
Racism's got worse.
It's just, I said to Fraser in the break, it's just like the world goes mad on a daily basis now.
Yeah.
It's actually my local theatre. It's the Theatre Royal in Stratford in East London, and they have a play coming out called Tambo and Bones, which is examining 300 years of African-American history. Sounds actually very interesting. Could all learn a bit from going there. But they are hosting a one-off blackout night to create a safe, private space for an all-black identifying audience.
But what if you're mixed race and you have one parent who's white and one parent
How
who's black?
black do you have to be?
Like, what if you're married
Could I
to somebody?
identify being
Well,
black?
this is
Could I
the
turn
thing.
up and say that
Oh,
I'm
mad.
Eamonn?
It doesn't make any. It
And
doesn't
also,
make any sense at all.
Aren't we supposed to be judged by the character of our personality? And,
Yeah, absolutely, rather than the colour of our
Rather than the
skin.
colour of our
and
skin.
GB.NEWS' brilliant Nana Acquia has written a personal piece on this. Nana, who happens to be black, saying that this is basically segregation. It's like apartheid again, isn't it? Now the theatre, in their defence, are saying, look, no one will be banned. I mean, it's not if you are white and you turn up, but they are insisting it will be more of a safe space. I mean, it's like if I went to this theatre to watch this play with Nana, how much of a less safe space would it be because I'm not black?
Yeah.
I don't understand what they expect me to do.
But also, aren't we supposed to understand the experiences of the past and atone for the
educational,
Wouldn't it be helpful
learn
if we
from
learned
it.
that?
We've talked about slavery and imperialism so much recently. So surely this is a way to learn a lesson.
Yeah.
This kind of segregation is becoming a lot more common. It's really prevalent on US campuses in particular, and in a lot of American schools, where they will have black-only fraternities and black-only accommodation and things like that. And it's justified on the grounds that, you know, you need this safe space away from racism. But it's you know,
It's insane.
it is obscene. And you mentioned the Martin Luther King quote, judging people by the content of character. You know, a lot of kind of woke academics who practice kind of critical race theory, they say that's outdated, and actually you do need to start judging people by their skin colour again.
It's exactly why racism's worse now than it was.
And yeah, they say actually this whole Martin Luther King stuff is an excuse by white people to ignore the realities of racial oppression. So it's turning the whole thing on its head. It's completely repudiating, you know, this idea of us all being equal, and it's scandalous. It presents itself as progressive. It presents itself as anti-racist when it's anything but.
Yeah, well, and that applies to the Oxford University stuff as well. You know, it presents itself as being protecting free speech and the rights of trans people, but actually at the cost of everybody else. Dawn, should we cheer ourselves up with this heat wave, this promised heat wave? I'm reptilian. I just live for the sun.
Me too. I'm with you on this one. I think it's more of a girl thing, actually. This is the front page of the Daily Star, as already discussed too. Not the most attractive men on the cover. Fake Britain. Basically, we are going to be, for the next potentially 42 days, under a 1,000-mile heat dome.
I'm so happy.
I'm so living for this one.
So happy. There's a link between the temperature and my personal happiness.
Yeah, me too.
But would you have time to avail of it? I mean, there's a link between my personal happiness and a blue sky, but that doesn't matter if it's cold or
I
warm.
walk everywhere where I live. So I walk to pick the kids up from school. If the sun's shining, I'll take them to the playground. I take them to all their clubs and activities. If that's pouring with rain and we're running and it's miserable and our feet get wet, but if it's sunny, I'm singing and I'm skipping.
It's going to hit 24 degrees, hotter than Morocco, and it could potentially last.
Hotter than Morocco?
Yeah, it could potentially last until July the 3rd. So marvellous, good news all round.
Phew, that's what I've got to say about that. What is the crowning farce in The Guardian, Fraser? Why the Met held 14 at a protest seminar.
So people will have heard about various protesters being arrested before they could even, start their protests. There were Republicans arrested because they had these kind of cable tie things that they were just using to carry their placards. There was a actual monarchist was arrested, wanted to attend the celebrations, but she was mistaken for a protester. And now it turns out that the police have raided a seminar quite a long way away from the coronation in Haggerston. So if people know London, that's miles and miles away from Westminster. There was a seminar completely unrelated to the coronation on how to protest peacefully, and it was raided, and by about 10:30 a.m. All these people were bundled into a police van and spent the day in custody.
Yeah, it was along with the women's what were they called, the night angels or something, with the rape alarms, who genuinely were there because there were lots of women travelling alone in the middle of the night, including my 60-year-old mother-in-law who caught a night bus to go and see the Queen. You know, you want to look out for women in those circumstances, and there they were in a Westminster City Council approved organisation with the Metropolitan Police in partnership, all arrested and locked up for 24 hours.
It's madness, isn't it? And it's like, if you actually want to report a crime, an actual crime that's happening, no one turns up.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Anyway, I don't know what else to say to that. It's just too much, isn't it?
There was an event took place the weekend. This walk.
The night walk, breast cancer.
Which many years ago I started like as in start. You can walk now, whatever. Start the gun or whatever. And that is the antithesis of what you were talking about there, about women feeling unprotected and whatever, because everybody is together and they feel, I think, so safe. In fact, there's thousands of people, and they're walking in the dead of night.
But I'm sure there were provisions for that, where they were giving out, for women arriving and things. I'm sure there were charities making sure that people felt safe. Imagine if they scooped them all up and chucked them in jail.
No, but I'm just saying, I think it gives a very safe environment. It's a very joyous environment, whatever it is.
Because women are quite good things, and we're together, and we have strength in numbers, etc., etc. So why the hell are we being cancelled?
I went out to a restaurant on, what night was it? Was it Wednesday night? It was Wednesday night in Belfast. And there were 37 people in the restaurant, right? And 35 of them were women.
Oh, your dream.
Excellent.
No, but my point was this. I then sat around and no one seemed to bite on this one as I was talking about this. And I was saying, somebody explain to me why it's like a monopoly on women now going out and they enjoy.
Yeah, my dad says the same.
4 women sitting together and they're wearing slightly glitzy, nice stuff and whatever.
Boozing.
And they're having a nice time. Yeah. They're laughing and giggling. And I just think you wouldn't get a restaurant of 35 men.
You might get a curry house.
Or a pub.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it is such a thing that men are either so boring that women don't want to be with them, or they find their own company, they find other female company.
I do think women enjoy female company. Yes. There's nothing I look forward to more than being out with a bunch of my best girls and having a couple of drinks.
But then again, I enjoy milk, and I went to football yesterday with a load of blokes, and it was great fun. I mean, you know, there were women there as well, obviously, but I mean, you know, we all can get on with one another, surely.
You're like me. We're both bi. You know, we could sort of have it either way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we'll both go either way.
Either way.
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
but I did
big revelation.
I did enjoy walking around the restaurant, going to all the different tables. 35 women, just pleasing them all.
I'm sure you did.
Hello, I'm George Clooney.
Yes.
Eamonn, what are you doing there? What are you doing here?
Oh, but I bet they loved having you there. I bet it really was sort of like, let's go and stroke an Eamonn night.
Stop it. Anyway, thank you guys. Been very enjoyable talking to you today. Dawn and Fraser there.